Thank you very much, Grayson. That's a song originally in Korean, and it's a really well-known gospel song, and very beautifully translated into English. And I always hope that one day we can sing it here, so we'll see. There's something about people who have faith. It might not be as noticeable on the outside. On the outside, people with faith often look just like anyone else. But inside, there's something different. People with faith live with a greater power inside of them. Faith opens your heart to God and connects you with God's power. And with God's power, you can do wonderful things way beyond your own power and capability. That is the wonderful gift of faith that God has given to us. Through faith, we connect with God and God's power. But even people with great faith can stumble and fall when life's big storms hit them. In today's story, when Peter first stepped out of the boat, he stepped out with faith. And with that faith, he stepped into the stormy water and began walking on water. With faith, he did something remarkable, something that Jesus was doing. And he experienced in that moment the power of faith. When faith is alive in you, you experience the wonderful presence of God. And you feel like you can handle anything. You can walk on water and do amazing things. But when Peter noticed the strong wind, fear took over, and he began to sink. Faith is wonderful, but it does not exist in a vacuum. It exists mixed in with the realities of life. In real life, we all do our best to control our situation. And so when things are in control, you feel more at ease. But sometimes storms come and hit you unexpectedly, and you're not prepared for the unexpected things that life throws at you. And when that happens, our faith is shaken. During the summer camp that passed, one of the highlights was swimming. I mean, there's no better way to beat the summer heat than spend time in the water. But to enjoy that swimming, the weather has to be good. And so all the leaders, we became meteorologists for the month of July. We would plan all our swimming times around the weather. So we would scour the forecasts. One day, it was forecasted to eventually rain a little later in the afternoon, but we do the hour-by-hour forecast, right? And it's like, okay, we're going to beat it. The rain's going to come later. So we all went because it was so nice for swimming. But of course, lo and behold, towards the end of our swimming time, you see the sky starting to darken, and we felt a few raindrops. So we quickly got everyone out of the pool and to start changing. And of course, as soon as they start changing, it really darkened and the rain started pouring down. Not just rain then, even the thunder started crackling in the sky. And so some of the kids, they got startled and scared, and some even began crying. It was very interesting because the whole theme of our camp was be bold. And I mean, they truly believed the verses when we learned it, right? When I am afraid, God makes me bold. And be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid because God is with you. I mean, they memorized these verses over the 4 weeks. But in that moment, fear overtook and overpowered their faith. And I think that describes our life of faith so well. When we feel faith, we feel God's power so alive in us. But when these storms come upon us unexpectedly, they make us so afraid. And that fear shakes our faith. It's not the problems and challenges themselves that are the issue. Oftentimes, you can just kind of figure out ways and deal with it. But it's the fear that they create in you. Fear has its own power, and it can take on a life of its own. And it can take over your heart and your mind. We see today, Jesus came to the disciples in the storm, but they couldn't recognize him. They thought they were seeing a ghost, and they became even more terrified. See, when fear takes over your heart, it clouds your mind, it clouds your vision, and it becomes a bad cycle of generating even more fear. And that's what happened to the disciples. Instead of being reassured by Jesus, they became even more scared. Each person reacts to fear in a very different way, in their own way, depending on your personality, your disposition. We all respond to fear differently. But the underlying result is the same. Fear has the power to drown out faith when it takes over your heart. It is a very humbling experience to go through life's difficulties. I can understand Peter. How can you not notice the strong winds around you? When these storms come upon you, they are so large, they are overpowering. And so you can't help, you cannot take your eyes off of them. It's hard to focus on anything else. And like I said, when you do have faith, it feels like you can walk on water and do anything. But when these strong winds are all around you, that fear takes over. You feel powerless. And the faith you had, it gets drowned out by the fear, the worries, and the uncertainties that the storms bring. If today's story was mainly about Peter, it would just be another reminder of our weak faith. But I'm thankful that this is not a story about Peter. He is a character in the story, but he is not the main character. The main character is Jesus. This is the famous story of Jesus walking on water. And people often get caught up in the miracle or the phenomenon of Jesus walking on water. It's certainly a fascinating image, right? Whoa, walking on the water. But it is easy to misunderstand this story. People lose the meaning of it by just focusing on that phenomenon. But the story is not about this phenomenon of Jesus walking on water. It is about why Jesus walked on water. What was he walking on the water for? The story tells us the boat, it was lost deep in the sea. Strong winds were tossing that boat about. Waves were battering it. They feared for their lives. And yet, in the midst of that storm, Jesus came to them. Jesus even walked on water to get to them. That is the point of that story. Not even the storm could stop Jesus. Jesus was more powerful than the storm. When storms in life come, they make us afraid. They weaken hearts and weaken faith. But God walks through the storm to save you. Nothing can keep God away from you. And that was the message that God shared through the prophet Isaiah. After the Israelites lost their land, their homes, their everything, and after they were sent to a strange and foreign land, they were very afraid. They felt lost and alone and abandoned, and the future seemed dark. But in that context, God spoke these words through Isaiah. Do not fear, for I have redeemed you. I have called you by name. You are mine. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And through the rivers, they shall not overwhelm you. When you walk through fire, you shall not be burned, and the flame shall not consume you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. You will not drown in the storms of life, because I am with you. Jesus kept that promise when he came to the disciples. And he told them, take heart, it is I. Do not be afraid. God promises that no matter what you are going through, you will not be alone. God will be with you. Fear overwhelmed Peter's faith. But in the end, it was not Peter's faith that saved him. It was Jesus' hand that reached out and saved him. All that Peter had was a desperate cry. Lord, save me. Lord, save me. That is good news to me. Because in the end, it's not about your faith. It is about God's grace. Just like the song that Grayson played for us. When you're lost, when you're drowning in your problems, when you're in the depths of despair, all we have is the desperate cry of, Lord, save me. But that is good enough, because it is God's love and grace that saves us. On that day, we went swimming. So everyone started changing, and the rains came down in a torrential fashion. And so the kids, though, the ones who were already changed, they had found shelter under a gazebo that was just down the path from the swimming pool. And as the kids continued to change, and as they finished changing, all of a sudden, some of the counselors who had umbrellas, they started coming back to the pool and taking small groups of kids, 2 or 3 at a time, under the umbrella and taking them to the gazebo under the shelter. They protected the kids from the hard rains and helped them feel safe under the stormy weather until they got to the shelter. And to me, they were the hand of God protecting the kids from the storm. And despite their fear, the counselors became the calm presence of God for them. That is who our God is. We only notice the strong winds and the storms around us when we're caught up in it. But God is with you, protecting you, sheltering you. When you're drowning in your problems, don't let fear take you into deeper darkness. Instead, simply cry out, Lord, save me. God will rescue you. God will walk through any storm to get to you. When your heart is troubled by many worries, wait for God's saving hand. Let us sing.